The future belongs to the curious. This is an act of discovery. Come and experience it with us in Arif and discover your creative potential. This is your path. This is your journey. You decide how it's going to be. Time to free your curiosity that's always in you. Come and experience it with us in Arif and discover your creative potential.
Hello everyone, welcome you all and greetings from Faculty of Communication. And today we are going to talk about communication methods and tools in CSOs, civil society organizations. I would like to explain it in open words as well. And today we will have 4 friends from different associations. Arif is a technical guy here, so see, he's going to work with them. And we are going to discuss some issues on CSOs, how communication tools and methods are using in their associations, especially. The first speaker will going to be Beran. Beran is attending here in behalf of Universal Patient Rights Association, and her duty is coordinator of Patients' Voice 2 project, Advocacy and Lobbying. And the second speaker going to be Simge, and she is in behalf of Sos Children, TRNC, Sos Children Village, and her duty is communication coordination. And the third speaker is going to be Tuğberk Emirzade, and he is attending here as in behalf of Taskent Nature Park, and he is a biologist and coordinator in this association. And the last speaker is Arif Osum. He is in behalf of Civic Space. It's a technical supporter platform which supports CSOs in Northern Cyprus in behalf of European Union, I think. They are getting some support from them. And he is the communication and event officer. The first speaker is Beran, and the stage on her now.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Beran.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to begin with. It's nice to be in a platform where civil society organizations and how they function is discussed and explained to the students. Because civil society, it's a field in the world that is it is more maybe powerful elsewhere, but it's growing here in Cyprus as well. And it is important that for the students to learn how communication techniques can affect the causes that we are working on, how to communicate our messages with the general public. That's why I again thank you, Dr. Öze, for this opportunity. As you said, I'm working for Universal Patients' Rights Association, and I'm specifically working for the 2 EU-sponsored projects called Patients' Voice, and I am the officer for Advocacy and Lobbying. So I'm not specifically working on communication, but advocacy and lobbying, the big part of advocacy and lobbying is to decide on what kind of communication tools, or let's say what mode of communication should be used when you are trying to advocate for a legislative change or a new law to come into effect, or advocating and lobbying for a cause that you think that will make positive change in general public. So maybe I should briefly start with our organization. Established in 2003, Patients' Rights Association is trying to advocate for the patients' rights law, which is based on the European Charter for Patients' Rights. And it's in different modes. There are not always a set of laws in each country, but there are definitely different codes, articles, or legislations that regulate and protect patients' rights. Here in Cyprus, we don't have that in northern part of Cyprus. What do we have when there's a violation of a patient right is another article maybe is enacted, for example, criminal law. But we think it is not enough because most of the time when you talk about patients' rights, it is assumed that patients' rights only is needed to protect the patient from the medical professional. And it is presented as a contradictory law with the health professionals. As an organization, first message that we communicate with public is that this is not correct. Of course, part of the law is to protect misconduct of any health professional, but more importantly, the set of laws or rights that we define with this legal draft text that we've been sending to the Parliament for 18 years with no results so far. So I don't know if our communication is that successful, but this is a joke, obviously, it is not onto us. But most importantly, having set of defined rights for patients also put responsibility on the authorities. And COVID-19 pandemic, for example, made it more clear and made our messages more understandable by the general public, as the first and foremost right that is defined is the right to preventive measures. And this puts responsibility on the authorities. So our work as an organization is, let's say, very vaguely, is divided into two pillars in terms of communication. One is communicate, or three, let's say. One is communicating directly with the general public, so making general public understand the cause and to mobilize the general public to put pressure on the authorities. Another pillar of our communication is to communicate with the authorities, and this is done most of the time direct communication in the style of lobbying, let's say. And the third one is communicating with the patients and their relatives directly, because we are trying to increase our own capacity as a watchdog organization. So that means we will be following, monitoring, and reporting the violations that we encounter or are reported directly to our organization. And we should be able to share these results with the general public so they understand what these set of rights, if they're recognized in our legal system, what these set of rights will bring to, or what benefit they will bring. So for that, our communication style 10 years ago, let's say, was mostly done in conventional means. And as the time is changing, the mode of communication changing, and this is especially after COVID-19, but even before COVID-19, and the generations are changing. The way people communicate, the way people are informed, the sources they used is changing, you know better than us. So it's not newspapers and mainstream TV now. It's heavily internet. And that's why our organization, of course, also changed its strategy. But having said that, I have to stress one thing. We did change, or we did adapt our communication strategy based on changing trends. But we also kept faithful. We kept faithful to the conventional means. When you, for example, for our CSO, when you deal with a very diverse age group, and especially in our case, majority of the people who benefit from the healthcare services, like in any country, as you expect, majority of them are geriatric patients, like patients above certain age, because geriatric patients are regularly benefiting from healthcare services. Young people also do this, but older people are more regular patients. So for that reason, we try to keep the conventional communication strategy on board and make sure that we are accessible through telephone, we are accessible, we are visible on mainstream media. That's why we do target TV shows. We do target radio shows. We are regular guests on those. We try to keep this because we know that our target group, as I said, majority of target group are still using these conventional means. But we also adopt new tools, especially when we're talking about Turkish Cypriot community. As you all know, Facebook is huge. And our visibility on Facebook is equally, not huge, but we are making a great effort to be visible on Facebook, again, for the same reasons, because Facebook is a platform for Turkish Cypriots, especially still, that the different generations are interacting there. And if you manage to be visible on Facebook, your messages will come across and will be a trending topic, let's say. So for that, we realized our posters, that's what we use. Short videos, also PSAs, public service announcement style videos that will not take a long time for the viewer. They will get the message very quickly. And we try to make the content, the story that we create there, not to be boring, to be able to appeal the style or appeal the everyday troubles, so people can empathize with the message. That's what we try to do. But we also use visuals, and the visuals that can give direct impact. As soon as you see it, you don't have to spend a lot of time on it, and it's easy to share and spread. And we realized, especially after COVID-19 pandemic, when our organization's mission became much more relevant. It was relevant, of course, but for general public, it's now easier to understand why an organization would be advocating for patients' rights. Because the pandemic showed us, if you live in a place where preventive measures are not taken, if you live in a community where there is no health risk mapping, so you don't know where the risk groups are residing, and that results in lack of planning. That resulted in non-COVID patients suffering greatly because they didn't have access to their regular medication. They didn't have access to their doctors. So all these problems needed a voice, needed a unified voice, which can put all these problems into perspective. So we took this, we were communicating conventionally. So people were coming to us, telephoning us, emailing us about the violations. So we took that and we shaped it in a way that we use more technological tools to create a unified message from all these violations. And I think we did manage, because when we received the statistics and insights from our different channels, we saw that even a simple poster that was designed and shared on Facebook and Twitter, it reached to dozens of thousands of people. And our interaction increased greatly because then we, according to our insights, of course, we don't have a perfect demographical breakdown, but from the interaction, we know that we are reaching now more to a younger audience, and we are able to mobilize younger audience. It doesn't mean they have to be patients, but they definitely have a relative or they are being indirectly affected by violation of the patient's rights in general. Other tools that we are using is, of course, YouTube. I said at the beginning of my presentation, I am representing a more conventional side of communication. So we use YouTube. I know even YouTube and Facebook are outdated now, so Arif will talk about newer tools. But what I try to say in a nutshell that no matter how new technologies are available, no matter how popular they become, especially for our cause, it is important to amalgamate the new technologies with the older ones, older methods, if you like. Because it is important not only for reaching an older audience, but also to keep the face-to-face or keep person-to-person communication still intact. The absence of that might create bubbles, because it can be inflamed. Something can be a trending topic on Twitter for a day, but as you know, the world news, every news is old news now in a split second. So it is important that you keep that conventional ways of communication. It is important that you take into account that it is still important that you use billboards, for example, physical tools, billboards on streets, that your cause or your organization or whatever you're trying to communicate is visible in the physical life and not only in virtual life. That's how we function. That's how we try to function. Of course, it is important to not to only speak to the, don't preach only to the converted. Arif maybe will talk more about that, because sometimes if you have your network and if you didn't manage to expand your network, online network, and you're trying to communicate something, sometimes you just preach to the converted, and the links that you're reaching are still the like-minded people. Or at best, maybe you're exposing your organization or yourself to bullies, online bullies. That's also another danger. So that's why we think it is important adopting new technologies with the conventional ones. I hope I was able to give some insight in how we function, what we understand from communication. Of course, we have younger staff members here in our organization as well, who are more tech savvy, and they know how to, they know hundreds of new tools that I am not aware of, but I'm happy to learn and happy to adopt. But as I said, don't forget to adapt. Don't forget to use the conventional means as well. And first and foremost, before I finish, I should say that more important than any tool that you use is your message. More important than any shape, anything is you have to have a clearly defined, well thought, well analyzed message. And that message will go across once you have the extra support of the new technologies. So thank you. I hope I didn't bore you that much.
Thank you, Beran, for this great speech. And I would like to say something to you about some statistic that I have made before. I'm working on social media platforms. I have many articles on them. And if you want, I can send them to you, and you can have some informations over there for further usages of social media platforms. And according to my research, it shows that Facebook is much more used by older generations, and Instagram is more with younger generations. In addition to that, how can I say, the minimum usage on the social media platforms is Twitter in Northern Cyprus. Only opinion leaders are using that platform, and they are spreading the opinions to other platforms and traditional media platforms, by the way. I'm going to send these articles to you if you would like to check it. And can we say that digital tools gives us clear demographic data, who is our target audiences and how long they are watching us, or what kind of reactions they are doing or engagements they are doing in compared to traditional media. Because in traditional media, as you know, you are doing something, but you don't know how is the reaction on it. There is no clear feedback on it.
That's very true. That's very true. But do you want me to comment on that? Shall I?
Yes, please.
That's very true, and exactly as you said, digital tools have that opportunity over the conventional ones. But for that, what we done back in 2017, that we did a perception survey, again a conventional method, to see how much what kind of audience we reached. But definitely, digital tools make the planning and strategizing for messages quicker. It shortens that process, and we can quickly adapt. We can quickly change our strategy if it's not working. And as you said, it gives us a quicker feedback. And about Twitter, I just wanted to say quickly something. And by the way, I definitely want to read your research. I definitely need that. And as Twitter, as an individual observation, I see the same thing. Even myself, I mean, I'm one of the first Twitter account holders probably in Northern Cyprus, but I have been very inactive for many years. And now I'm going back to it and saying that maybe if you're going to ever work in an organization, or if you're going to ever do activism for a cause, if you're going to advocate, definitely use Twitter. Definitely don't disregard it. It's very important, because the authorities are there, and they're taking that into account, because it's more more globally public. So yes. Your cause might be local, but you might find alliances, you might find different examples, and more also academic resources, links, and people, individuals. So don't disregard Twitter, or definitely benefit from it.
Can we say we are living in a global village, as McLuhan said?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Beran. And now we invite Simge here for her speech. Are you ready, Simge?
Yes, I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah. You can share your screen and start.
Yeah. Is everything okay? Okay. Thank you again. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your kind invite, Nuran Öze. My name is Simge Özkan from Sos Children Village Association, and I'm working as communication coordinator. Although this is my 12th year in my career, I consider myself new to the civil society organizations community. At the invitation of Nuran Öze, there were some headlines that she asked to mention us. I would like to refer to these contents during my presentation. Traditional tools versus digital tools. Gaining audiences, networking, communication for advocacy, challenges faced during publicity activities, COVID-19 and its consequences in communication activities. I want to start with general communication in civil society organizations. Every communication activities are aimed at influencing the environment of the institution, gaining acceptance and approval. Independent from the field format and the background of the work civil society organizations, communication is the main item. The success of study requires communications between the party designing the study and the party affected by the study. I will say something from my civil society organization. In Sos Children's Village, we use digital tools more than traditional tools for general communication activities, for our general communication activities. As a tradition, we send our press releases to the published newspapers, Addition to that, we use the digitals in terms of our website, sending information and news via email to people, using text messages, as well as using our social media channels actively. Our approach to improve our resources with the traditional tools versus digital tools are the rate of 70% to 30%, I can say that. We're using the face-to-face techniques to improve our resources. In case of resource finding for one-time usage, we are using digital tools. And gaining audiences, the most important advantage from our digital tools that we use is it improves and provides the opportunity of interactive communication, as Nuran Öze and Beran mentioned that. In order to gain more audiences, we use face-to-face communication skills more than the digital tools, which is due to the effect of the face-to-face communications show better results, and also it shows better effects on the small communities like us from our experience. We have focused on to improve our digital channels by determining our strategies and improve the strategies we use. Our networking, I can say that we still have less effect on the sum of the audiences of the community in both ways, from the audiences and from us. But we have the advantage of being a universal organization while using our experiences in our country and community. SOS has and should have the relevant networking systems within each department towards their needs and expectations. In this way, we can say that we have a strong networking in SOS. We still have to improve the usage of the network and make it current and active all the time. And I want to say something about our communication activities for advocacy. We are one of the civil society organizations with the best knowledge and experience in our society about children's rights and children's welfare. We advocate on every platform at every opportunity, which we also provide information, contribute to the existing agenda and the information in the system, as well as creating them. Communication methods that we use more this purpose: traditional media, digital media, lobbying, face-to-face meeting, documentation, trainings, seminars, panels, like that. And we also take initiatives to get support from international funders, such as European Union or United Nations for advocacy purposes. The other topic, challenges faced during publicity activities. The most important challenge in our country is that the agenda is not stable and has the effect of anxiety on people, as the political agenda is always very busy. We either have a hard time finding a place as civil society organization in the media, or the agenda has changed before we can even create the effect we want. As SOS Children's Village, we are at the process of becoming the leader of the society in subjects when it comes to regarding the topics related to children's rights and children's welfare. In order to achieve this, we still need to improve our power of influence, which we are working on it. COVID-19 and its consequences in communication activities. Yes, face-to-face communication and all other activities has stopped due to the pandemic process, as you know. It has not yet fully returned to its former state. We still have restrictions. The most effective way to making it change and be active for civil society organizations are the activities. When these have stopped completely during the pandemic, we felt alienated from the society. And in the pandemic process, the necessity for the development of digital tools have been emerged. Learning and adoption phases were passed quickly, and we learned how to manage the process digitally, mostly hands-on. When the most effective way to activate the feelings in our target audiences was face-to-face communication, and the necessity to transfer it to digital during the epidemic. The risk of conveying emotion has emerged. Like the whole society, like all other civil society organizations, we learned to manage this risk in Sos Children Village. Nuran Hocam, in addition that all these topics, I would like to mention about some problems in civil society organizations from the perspective of a communication expert.
Sure, please mention whatever you want.
Something, thank you. Civil society organizations have lack of communication with sharing the information. The members and the experts have different linguistic than the public. That language is difficult to understand. Civil society organizations don't have, generally, not all of them, don't have strong communication strategy and not realize the importance of the public relations job title and the work. The available visual materials and tools are limited. For example, it may be due to the content being sensitive, like us in our Sos Children's Village. And sometimes lack of creativity. Some of civil society organizations are not meeting the expectations. About these problems, of course, there are some solutions. For example, civil society organizations should have the relevant knowledge about mass media strategies and communication channels. We should organize some meetings to bring the civil society organizations within the same framework. We can share our experiences within the community. We have to target our goals and audience. We need to use the appropriate media tools and the communication activities that have to contain a message, as mentioned, Beran. The message should be newsworthy. For example, in our press releases, social media channels, or every interviews, the message should be newsworthy. Photos, audios, videos, or the other digital tools that we use should make some impact. Of course, everyone could have different or more weaknesses and or solutions about communication in civil society organizations. But I wanted to mention some of them in my presentation. Okay. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Simge. Thank you for this great presentation. And I think some of your messages should come to Arif. Civil society calls for action, Arif. I think you get the points. That Simge called for help. And this is your duty to bring them together more oftenly and more collaborated and more relevant contents, I think. Yeah. They need your technical support to bring them together, I think.
Please, Arif.
I'll mention more about it during my presentation, but yeah, definitely I'll try to answer what Simge has raised up, the questions and the arguments.
Okay, and in addition to that, Simge, I know Sos in deeply, as you know, because of Jamil. Yeah. And I know that you are using, which is not publicly doing by the other associations, you are using 360-degree communication. Whenever I learn all of these details, I got shocked because none of the organizations in Cyprus, which are Cypriot organizations, even businesses, couldn't use this much of communication tools together. It means that you using integrated marketing communication tools properly as an SOS and as an association. It's a great job, I think. There is no question, huh? It is just a comment, and I would like to congratulate Sos Children Village for for their great effort, which is not professionally done by businesses. Maybe it's related with the center of the SOS. They are supporting you to manage in this match of tools together. And you are a kind of sample for their for other CSOs, I think.
Thank you, Hocam, for your comment. But I want to add something about general communication about in our civil society organizations. We need to improve our linguistic. Because not improve, maybe we will talk basically to understanding in every tools, even digital or traditional or interviews. We need to that totally.
And I shocked when we share the percentages, 30 to 70%. Tradition versus digital tools.
Digital, yeah.
Whenever is there any effect which is related with the COVID-19? It increased the level of digital media tools, or it's related with the time?
During COVID-19, we used 100% digital tools, only digital tools, but we need some face-to-face communication during getting support with corporate support from corporations.
Still.
That's more effective.
And also in gaining audiences, I think you need some face-to-face collaborations over there. Thank you, Simge.
It's a better way to gain some corporate donation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your...
Yes, Tuğberk Bey, Mr. Tuğberk. It's your turn now, and you are from Taskent Doğa Park, Taskent Nature Park.
Yes.
As a biologist, please enlighten us.
Okay, yes, I am Tuğberk Emirzade, and I used to teach at the university very long time ago, and today I can feel the energy of the students, and it's very invigorating again. I can feel it coming from the screen, the attention of the students. Okay, is my presentation visible now? Okay, there it is. Let's see. Okay. Yes, I am working as a biologist and as a general coordinator in Taskent Nature Park. And we have, and when I was growing up, I was always interested in animals, plants, and nature. And I wasn't very sociable. And I thought I would choose a profession which I engage mostly with the nature, not with people. But as I find out, especially in North Cyprus, if you want to protect the nature, you have to deal with the people all the time, because there is a lot of activity which threaten the nature because of the human population. So communication, because of that, is very important in conservation. Today I will try to tell you a little bit about what we do at the park, and then I will go on to communication, because it's very important to understand what we are doing here, and then the communication problems and activities will be more relevant.
Dear Tuğberk, could you please make your screen full screen? because we couldn't catch you. It's not full screen. Please make it full screen and then continue. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's okay now. It's okay.
All right. Okay, who we are? Okay, Taskent Nature Park was established in 2016 as a non-profit civil society organization. And this is, in this picture, you see a general view of our park. This is a small part of it. It is mainly the places where the main activities are taking place, but it is spread out to a much bigger area. The main goal of the establishment of this park is conservation of nature. And in this picture, you can see some of our buildings. It is actually, there are many subcategories, and one of them is the Cyprus Wildlife Research Institute. These are the institute buildings. Some of them are under construction. And we have a wildlife rescue and rehabilitation center, wildlife hospital and research laboratory, and Cyprus Marine Life Center. And also, again, visible in this picture, we have a sanctuary for live animals, we have cages, and the building which is under construction is going to be our main institution building. And we have on the left the farm, and we have lots of, we have donkeys, we have deer, we have pigs, we have ducks, we have turtles, tortoises. I will tell you more about them. Yes, what do we do? Rescue is one of them. We rescue wild animals. In the picture, you can see one of our workers, one of our staff is going down a well because there is a snake which fell into the well and there was no way of it getting out by itself. And here we get help from the fire department. We have good relationships with them. They are helping us as well. Another case is the sticky paper, which is used for catching pests in the buildings. Unfortunately, these sticky papers catch snakes as well, and we collect them and save them. And on the right, this picture shows it's a balcony. It's not very easily visible, but on the balcony, people put fishing nets to prevent birds from going in, maybe pigeons and stuff like that. But unfortunately, a small falcon, a kestrel, was tangled in the fishing net, and we had to rescue that falcon as well. We do medical treatments. So these animals, if they are injured, they come to our hospital. By the way, all the pictures that you see in my presentation are our original pictures. They are not from the internet. These are actually our pictures from our center. So we have veterinaries. We treat the animals. This turtle was tangled in the fishing nets underwater, and it was almost drowning. So we kept it until it got better. And this the X-ray picture is from a small hedgehog, and it was damaged by a dog. It was bitten, and we usually, if there is any internal damage, we have to get X-rays to see exactly what's going on. And some of these treatments take days, weeks, and months. The longest treatment was for a marine turtle, which lasted about 2 years. We had to take care of this animal for 2 years in our center, and it was released back to the nature at the end. So rehabilitation is another, the next step in line. After the medical treatment is finished, we have to monitor the animal to see that it is able to survive in the nature on its own. So we have big enclosures where we test if they can hunt, if they can catch live prey, And for the turtles, these are our turtle tanks. We have to see them if they can sink well, because some of them, if they have problems with their lungs and they cannot adjust their buoyancy, they sometimes cannot dive very well. So we have to make sure that they are all rehabilitated and they can take care of themselves when they are back to the nature. This is the biggest reward of our job, the release. After the rescue, the medical treatment, and the rehabilitation, to see that the bird or a turtle or a snake or a reptile, to see it go back to the nature is the biggest reward for us. It is amazing. It's a magical moment. And unfortunately, this is not always the case. We cannot always release the animals for several reasons. We have to keep them and care for them in our sanctuary. These turtles are, they originate from a different country. They don't belong to Cyprus, so we cannot release them to the nature. They compete with the native species. And the country where they came from, it's international regulations. They don't accept them back in case they bring a disease back to the original population. So these are have to stay forever outside the country. So because of that, we have to keep them until the end of their lives. Like these turtles are from Turkey, and we have some monkeys from Africa, from Southeast Asia. We have a turtle from America. We have to keep them here. The fox is actually a local animal, but unfortunately it was grown, it was domesticated, it was grown by a person. It was found as a puppy, and it got used to the people. But these animals never become fully domesticated. They act like they are domesticated, so they are not afraid of the people, but they harm the people. They bite you. And because we cannot release it, people might catch it and then treat it in unsuitable ways. So we keep it in our sanctuary. His name is Rudy. And another reason why we have to keep some of the animals is that, like this bird on the right, it has a broken wing. It cannot fly on its own, but it can feed itself. It can continue to its life in a healthy way. So we keep it in our sanctuary, and we hope to use it. We use it in our educational programs. And speaking of education, although with the COVID-19 pandemic, we had to reduce and take a break from our educational tours and activities, we started again. This is a group from Nicosia. We show the one on the left with the big group of people. We show them the animals, we explain how they are injured, why they cannot go back to the nature, and they understand why it is important to protect the nature. It is a very important part of communicating our activities and our goals of conservation, because they witness and they really see the animals. In the middle, you can see that there is a young girl which is holding a snake. When we were growing up, we were always told that snakes are dangerous. We were scared of snakes, but here, through first-hand communication, we can show people that actually, once you have enough knowledge of the nature, it is safe. You can establish your own safety. There are some snakes which are dangerous, but some of them, like this one, it's a coin snake. It does not have any venom. It is safe, and you don't need to be afraid of it. And also on the right, we have this is our hospital. This is what's on the table is a Mediterranean monk seal, and it was found dead, and we were conducting a necropsy and trying to find out the cause of death, and so that we can communicate the reason for death and maybe take measures so that we can protect them. As a civil society organization, the biggest challenges is to keep our activities going by fundraising. In the establishment of our organization, it was privately funded, and we are trying to transform into a self-sustaining organization for sustainability. We have a picnic area, we have a restaurant, and unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we didn't get any business with that. We had to shut down, we had to take a break, and we tried to do alternative means of income. So we organized a lottery. We have a gift shop in Nicosia. We put donation boxes around, and we have also a possibility of SMS donations. And also we realized that the most important thing in order to get support is to communicate that we need support, and the support is being used for conservation of nature. So our methods of communication, we have meetings, we have social media, we appear in the news, in the TV news, newspapers, stuff like that. And in the meetings, when we are meeting authorities or other organizations, we usually use our brochure, printed material. We have an annual report. So we go and present these. And we have a website as well. But again, because of these meetings were limited because of the pandemic, our social media pages and groups became much more important. This is one of this picture is one of our social media pages. It's from Facebook. It is Taskent Dağtaş. And as you can see, we have reached more than 97,000 people. And this is just by spending a little bit of time on design, writing a message and sharing it. Of course, it didn't happen overnight. We had to show what we are doing, that we are dedicated. We have a lot of activities, and we had to get ourselves known by the public. And then this is a very good way which we can reach a lot of people in a short amount of time. And we have on our page, on the Taskent Dağtaş page, 23,388 followers, and we have posts every few posts per week, and one of them got 267,000 views. It was a rescue of a big viper snake from a car. The snake was out and about, going on its daily routine, just hanging out, and it was outside a village, and there was a car parked, and I guess it got scared of the people around, and it wanted to hide somewhere, and the car was the closest thing, so it went up into the engine of the car, and it didn't come out, of course, by itself. So our friend had to go and rescue the snake. And as you can see, that was a very big publicity for us. And the video of this rescue attracted a lot of attention. This is a quite high number, and we are now well known for our activities. People know that we rescue snakes. And most in the past, it was the norm to try to get the snake away or to unfortunately kill the snake because people were afraid and didn't know what to do. But now people know that we exist as Taskent Nature Park, and we help them with the snake, to rescue the snake. We have another group in Facebook. It is called Kıbrıs Yaban Hayatı, Cyprus Wildlife. This has 3 different functions. Last year, in the beginning of the pandemic, we had about 4,000 followers in the group, 4,000 people, and now it is up to over 12,000 members, and it's a very active page. Mostly people post interesting animals that they find. On the right, you can see that there is a lizard, strange looking lizard, which is not very common. And they write where it was seen and on what date. And people who know what it is make comments about the characteristics and the name of this animal. So under this lizard, you can see I wrote down the name in Turkish and in the Latin name of this animal. And people put spiders, wild plants, different things. And it's a nice platform to share information. Other than this, another function of this is one of our goals to educate or provide information to the public. In the middle, there is a poster that we made. It is giving information about what to do in case of finding a baby bird. In the months of April, May, and June, it is the time for lots of young birds and baby birds, and some of them fall out of their nest. People find them, and with good intentions, sometimes they don't always do the right thing. So by using this page, we give such information, and you can see this poster got 172 shares. That's a good visibility. It gets our message across and helps us for conservation of nature. And another function is to alert us for certain things. For example, this post was seen on another page. It's an advertisement for selling these kestrels. They are young kestrels, just juvenile. And of course, it is forbidden to trade wild birds in North Cyprus. So this is actually something illegal. It's an illegal activity. So our group members, when they find such things, inform us, and then we inform the police, and we take legal action. So this is a very good means of communication, and it's like citizens become the police or assistants of the law. Okay, the challenges. This is just another day in our office. Because it's a charity and self-funding organization, we don't have, it's not like a government office where we have many workers. We are very few people and we are very busy all the time. And one of the biggest challenge is to spend time on communication. We have a lot of activity here, and we can only publicize a fraction of what we do. And it's a challenge. We cannot cut down on the time to take care of the animals, because if we cut time on taking care of the animals die. So that's our priority. And then we try to spare some extra time for the publicizing. We had a communications officers just for communication, and that's extra cost. And we had another challenge with that. When we have a communications officer, and for example, we ask for a video, an informative video about the stages of treatment, rehabilitation, and release of an animal. Because he is a specialist or she's a specialist, this person, they have no, they need guidance. So we have to coordinate very well with them and inform them all the time about what's going on and arrange with them. And sometimes there is emergencies which we cannot plan for in advance. So it takes, again, a lot of our time just to coordinate with the communications officer. And we also try to make a poster about snakes, different types of snakes that we have in North Cyprus. And we cannot just ask the communications officer, make us a poster about snakes, because he needs the information, he needs the photos, he needs the specific technical information about the snakes. And this, again, needs our time. So this is a challenge for us. Okay, this is the last slide that I have. As a conclusion, this picture is from a rescue of a black snake from a village. We were called with people panicking about the snake seen in the area, and it was me who went there, and we rescued the snake. It was kind of stuck in the garden between the buildings, and once the locals who were afraid of the snake and panicking, once they saw that I was comfortable and there was nothing to be afraid of the snake, they felt comfortable. They even, like this person, he could hold it for the first time in his life. He held a snake in his hands, and the kids were not scared anymore. And this is the best way of communication. It is face-to-face, it is first-hand experience, and it really helps us for the conservation of nature. Next time when they see a snake, they will not be afraid, they will not try to kill it, they will know what to do. However, it takes a long time because it's a few people and you spend a lot of time, and it is expensive. It's an uneconomical way of getting our message, and although it is very effective, it is not very feasible. But this kind of communication produces the results. It really changes the behavior of the people, and it is permanent change of behavior, and it has the biggest impact on conservation. Yes.
As a summary, you're saying that the experience changed the perception.
And behavior, yes.
And behavior, yeah. As I understood, you have limited people and lots of works to do.
Yes.
Yeah. And as well, we have time, we have to get and help you, go and help you to you. And I would like to ask something to you. As I understood, you are not using digital platform tools to increase your funds. There are many easy way to increase your funds via digital tools. Maybe it's better to use these tools to increase your funds, and maybe it's better to get in together with people to improve their perception and understanding about the nature. Because
yes.
I think you need funds in order to improve your facilities.
Yes, you are right, but it's a trade-off. I mean, if we focus on funding, then we need to spend more time there, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge.
It means that as a communication professionals, we should help you. Maybe you can do some protocols with some universities in order to get an communication support over there.
Yes, that might be a good solution.
Okay, let's talk it later on.
Yes.
Yes, Beran, you have a comment, I think, because you said you would like to comment something about the Tuğberk's speech.
Yes, and I think Cemil also has a question. But very quickly, I was just gonna point out. I admire their work to begin with, and even in my personal perception and behavior change, especially about the tarantulas. I never heard them before, but now I just don't get scared because our home is a passage to them. I mean, we encounter one huge one once a month maybe, and we take it out. Thanks to them, I stopped being afraid. But I was just wanted to point out the importance of crowdsourcing when it comes to watchdog activities. So what happens naturally with their work when they share, there is also the back desk, because they share, as Tuğberk said. I mean, being a communication expert, when they have people write a comment, it needs a scientist or an expert behind to answer that comment, because it's something that needs expertise. So I really admire how quickly they gather all the experts, and then you change behavior, and you learn some scientific information, and that's very good. And also, the crowdsourcing for watchdog is very important. So this happens naturally with them. Now, with the Yaban Hayatı page, you can see that everyone, whenever they encounter a different butterfly, whatever animal it is, they share. And if there's a abuse to an animal, then everybody is like, he used policing, and I'll call it in a civil society terminology, watchdog, being a watchdog. And crowdsourcing for watchdog is a very effective tool, is used in different parts of the world for corruption, for bribery, for other human rights abuses and other issues. And I was just going to add that I forgot my most important point, because our communication is shifting now to creating an app. So if we manage that, we also want to make sure that the watchdog is done directly by people, so that people can be directly put input, directly reach you and report a violation. And Taskent, it does it very, very successfully. I just wanted to point out that and congratulate them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nuran, your mic is on mute.
Okay, I'm talking by myself. Thank you, Tuğberk. And our last speaker is Arif, and he's our solist. He's coming soon. You will see.
So much expectation built upon, so I hope I can just manage to do so. Is my presentation working? Yep, great. So basically, my name is Arif Osum. Nice to meet you all. I'm the communication and events officer of Civic Space. But we have mentioned civic space a couple of times up until this point, and Nuran has raised some questions, just like Simge, and I can see Jamil Abi is writing on the comments as well. So what is civic space? Let me just start on there. Well, civic space is a technical support program, technical assistance program, funded by EU in order to strengthen the role of the civil society in the Turkish Cypriot community and to promote EU values and to help develop a decisive environment for enhanced trust, dialogue, cooperation, and relationship between Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriot communities. It basically aims to contribute to build in the Turkish Cypriot community a stronger civil society. So our basic, the most natural aim is to create a stronger civil society which supports democratic changes and confidence building measures. We want to encourage the public to engage in more of civic actions, CSOs, civic engagement and role in decision making. We want to increase that. We want to create a more enabling environment for CSOs and their actions for the Turkish Cypriot community. Also, I'll just show my table of contents at first. I just tried to explain the civic space at first. So I'll talk about civic space, and then I'll try to give you some information about social media and website, the digital tools that we use, and how the COVID-19 changed our way to approach those, and how we adapted there, and as civic space, what we are doing for the future, what we are planning for the future. Communication is important for us. Basically, we have as a project, the communication is a component for us as well. The component's aim is the public and the Turkish Cypriot community in particular are better informed about CSOs' actions and are more involved in CSOs' actions and management. So basically what we are trying to say down there as well, we want to increase the visibility of Turkish Cypriot community CSOs. We want to increase their reach to the community, so the people, the community can be more aware of what they're doing and why they're doing it, or can be aware of their message. It is also worth to mention that our audiences is unlike the other counterparts, the colleagues that have had their presentations before. Our target audience is actually civil society organizations. We want to reach the civil society organizations, the networks, the platforms, the civil initiatives and active citizens, activists basically, try to strengthen them, to empower them, support them to make sure that their messages reach to the public. The final beneficiary is definitely the Turkish Cypriot community and the civil society as a whole. What we are aiming is, again, like I mentioned before, the commission is a component for our project. What we are aiming is for the public to be better informed about the civic actions that take place in everyday life. Just like what Taskent has mentioned about the wildlife, of their importance for the animals in the wildlife, how they change the behavior towards them, how they change the fears of the people. They try to reach to that message as well, reach to the people and change their behaviors towards that wild animals. What we do is also to support CSOs in design and implementation of communication and visibility strategies. I think Simge raised that point as well. Ever since 2015, Civic Space has been active, and if I'm not mistaken, in 2017 we had our first communication strategy workshop, and you can find some great great documents created for that in our trainings about trainings page. Ever since that, we offer help desks. Maybe I should talk more about what we do first. I think I kind of lost you down there. As Civic Space, we organize trainings, we organize seminars, we organize webinars, we organize workshops, and we offer a grocery program. We all do that for the civil society organizations to empower the civil society organizations and public as a whole. What else? Kinda has been a long time since I had a live discussion, so sorry about that. And maybe I should move on to our social media and website. Old or new tools of communication all aim to reach the target group. Main aim is making the message heard, and main aim should be targeting the right group of your action. As I have mentioned before, our target audience is CSOs, networks, platforms, civil initiatives, and active citizens. Thus, we aim to reach, engage, and grow our followers as much as possible so that, in return, we can further support CSOs and their actions, make them visible and reachable by the society as a whole. But this doesn't mean that our sole effort is on new media. Not at all, but instead we try to have a more holistic approach with our methods, just like what Beran has mentioned. We still reach newspapers, TV channels, and radios. Whenever we have an announcement to make, we try to involve them as much as possible to actions we take. The Turkish Cypriot community, even after the pandemic, relies on traditional communication methods. During campaigns, you must have came across the billboards on the roads. During elections, you must have seen groups of people disseminating leaflets, sharing leaflets of their candidate and TV and radio shows. However, digital tools of communication is slowly but surely spreading as well. Online news, live shows, also some of the social media platforms becoming more and more politicized and turning into discussion channels, just like Facebook. I mean, you can check it right now after the report about the elections that have taken place in 2020, late 2020. Right now, it's like a whole discussion panel where everyone is spreading their ideas and everything. We have only recently started to be active on Twitter and YouTube. However, we had our Facebook and Instagram accounts almost from the beginning of the project. And please don't hesitate to check our profiles. If you like them, don't be shy to follow us or like one or two of our posts. But only if you like them. I'm not pushing you. I'll just wait here until I see some notifications, but I'm not pushing you. Anyways, I'll try to keep it short. We tend to create visual posts, just like what Beran mentioned. It can have more than some messages, some kind of familiarity. It can create some kind of familiarity. Excuse me, there is this. Okay. Abi en sona gidersen. Teşekkürler. We tend to create visual posts and try to keep them as brief as possible. If you have visited our profiles, you might notice that we tend to share projects, actions, other projects actions, CSO posts, as well as that is because I have mentioned our aim is to make the civil society organizations' actions as visible and as possible as ours. About our website, we offer an online library, a CSO database, which consists of 227 CSO organizations. Information about us, what we do. Also, I must be honest that our website isn't as active as we would like, or ain't as user-friendly as we would like it. We are planning to do something about that too, and I'll share that in our coming pages. About the digital tools, digital tools as well have slowly become a part of our life. Doing the things we used to do, but having a way to do it with less effort or online. For example, no thanks to the pandemic, we had to have our meetings, trainings, and webinars online. or to store our documents online because we couldn't come to the office. It was against the regulations and everything, so we couldn't have the hard disk shared with other people as well, so we had to just store it online. Instead of creating piles of prints, we could do it digitally as well. So it was, again, like I said, it was with less effort and it was reachable. Also, to create more animative, attractive emails for our community, or to ask for their opinion of e-survey, or to ask their opinion with e-surveys. These are all useful tools to reach out to your community, ask for their ideas, or to share the information much easier than it used to be before. I mean, you don't have to carry piles of papers to share it with other people as well. The opinions of our community is of grave importance to us. Their needs and their comments shape our plan. Such was the case when the pandemic spread to Cyprus. We wanted to ask about how pandemic affected them and how we could help in their struggle. What could be offered to support them to continue with their work they do. We created this survey on SurveyMonkey, which has been really helpful with the cause. It showed how much it affected the CSOs and what kind of needs that they had. Basically, one of the questions were, are you feeling confident about digital tools? Do you think that do you need help about have trainings about that? And after that, we used that finding to have almost 8 trainings on digital tools and social media and online monitoring and other kind of stuff where CSOs could use to continue their work. SurveyMonkey is a great tool because it has many kind of question types. It generates this very nice graphs and statistics. Apart from SurveyMonkey, we also had to start to use these video channels as well, just like Google Meet and Zoom, which has helped the CSOs to carry their meeting, trainings and seminar to the digital world. They have enabled civil society to continue their work, especially in Cyprus, where language is a huge barrier for bicommunal action. Zoom, with its online interpretation option, has enabled bicommunal peace and reconciliation movements to not lose ground and continue their work. Especially if you think about the borders being closed for more than a year, especially Zoom and others like it, Meet, Skype, Teams, generates a new platform for peace activists to work together. The pandemic has presented us with many challenges, but we can't deny that it has pushed to improve our digital competences. Civil society in all over the world has managed to do a great job in adapting to this new digital world, even further improving their reach, skills, and the work they do in many cases, which we will mention a little more in the next topic. Finally, just give me a minute. Dağtaş, can you share those links right now, please? If I may. Thank you. Finally, about digital tools and social media, please use the links that Dağtaş is going to share on the comments right now, which are the booklets about social media and digital tools that we created during our trainings to strengthen the digital skills of the civil society. Contains useful links such as a list of free accessible tools you can find online to improve your digital output. About the COVID-19, it's on only 2 more slides left, Nuran. You don't have to worry, I'll finish it for 10 minutes. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected...
Please finish in 5 minutes and 5 minutes for questions, okay?
Okay. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected all aspects of life, as we know globally. Our social, private, workplace environment took a huge toll and got to adapt to a new world order. Our habits had to change, the way we socialize, to be with our friends, our family had to change. CSOs couldn't be any different. The way they worked, how they took their decisions, their basic activities had to adapt as well. In Cyprus, this has caused at first a demotivation. As we all know, in this island, people tend to solve their issues or interact with others face-to-face. Physical or face-to-face communication has a huge role in our society. People, because it's a way of communication consisting of more than words, the actions and the tone of someone speaking may totally differ the understanding of the other. How we adapted to the COVID-19 is by holding on to the services that we used to do, but carrying them to the digital platform. Such as, we used to let our venue to CSOs for their work to use, but due to regulations, we couldn't, so that we bought Zoom to enable our community to continue their work. Also, as it was expensive for some to have it, package having the interpretations was really expensive. We used to do trainings face-to-face. It was really expensive, so it was essential for them to continue their work. We used to do trainings face-to-face, but had to do them online as well. This was a great challenge, especially due to non-formal education methods that CSOs tend to use. So it's not a formal way of a teacher trying to reach to the students and just giving the instructions and everything. We were using methods that that would need people to work together to learn something. And it was hard to adapt to online platforms. We are still trying to learn as well as the rest of the world and share as much as we learn. COVID-19 has also, just like I mentioned before, has pushed us to the limits, has pushed us to increase our way of talking about the internet tools and online tools and everything. Since the March of 2020, we, as I have mentioned before, I have organized 8 online trainings and almost 4 online seminars about to reach our community and to help out their daily struggles. I'll go to the future plans. About the future plans, as I mentioned, the website is lacking, isn't satisfying our needs and what people tend to want to see from our daily site. So we are planning to change that. We are planning to create a more user-friendly, much more faster website as soon as possible. Soon we will start our new Grow Civic program as well. And I think this topic will answer what Cemil has asked before I started my presentation about the, if I'm not mistaken, he was saying how civic space can act as a bridge to open space for CSOs in general for expensive media spaces. Well, maybe civic space cannot directly act as the bridge, but through Grow Civic and its support, maybe the campaigning can be done through that. It can the civic space will help financially to enable to the use of those open door billboards and stuff like that. And that's about it. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening to me. It's been a long time. I'm sweating, like my palms are sweating right now. Sorry about confused you.
Thank you, Arif. Thank you for your great presentation. And you answered Cemil's question. And I think he has another question to me as well. I'm going to answer it as well. And he asked that how universities, for example, Arif, can collaborate with CSOs for the production of visual or audio publicity materials by their infrastructure. First of all, we are a new university, only 3 years old university. That's why we had only third-year students now, only few students in our departments. In order to help you with our infrastructure and also with our students, their education has to become in a little bit upper phase first, because we couldn't manage this kind of things with the first year or second year students. In addition to that, the number of the student has to be increased in order to support you in this kind of things. But whenever they came to in the third and fourth year, we can organize some course which is totally related with CSOs and which is related with the campaign production. And we can help you in that way. We can combine your needs with our courses, and they do all their projects according to your needs. But you should give some time to us to increase our student numbers and higher grade students to the third and fourth year. Because nowadays, in third year, we have only one student. How can we support you with one student? As ever they become 20, 30, 50, 60, it would be possible. Because we have many applicable courses, and we can apply these courses to a project as ever we get agreed on it. We need a little bit more time for it. We are still baby. Yes. Okay, guys, thank you very much. And I'm not sure if there are any other new comments. I'm checking. Yes, I check it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort. And this is our first step for the CSOs. And I would like to continue to it in next semesters as well. Because CSOs are so important for the community, not for only universities. You are so important for the community and as a voice of community. And I can say that there are some new generation association in recent decade, I can say that. And your voices differentiated. That's why I would like to continue to these sessions in the future periods. I hope you will enjoy as well.
Right.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks a lot.
Talking about the CSOs and their visibility and everything. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you for kindly invite and say hello to everybody. See you.
See you.
Ciao, bye-bye.
Thanks, thanks, Dağtaş.
Yeah, Dağtaş, thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Do you remember how you discovered the world around you? Can you hear the beat of life? Can you hear it by seeing it and feeling with all your senses? Hey, can you still hear it? There's something in you, driving you, calling you. Calling you in closer and closer. It's happening right now. Time to free your curiosity that's always in you. Now it's time to act. This is an act of discovery. It requires looking to the world in new ways. much to answer for, but we're not offering you the answers. We are here to encourage your questions, but more important than the question is how you answer it. Try the ordinary, then try the unusual. To live is learn, and to learn is to live. Live, learn. It's an endless process. This is your path. This is your journey. You decide how it's going to be. Just enjoy every moment of it. We believe in design, keeping it simple but also significant. We believe in art for looking at the world with a unique perspective. We believe in creativity for communicating better with the world. Creativity takes courage. The future belongs to the curious. Come and experience it with us in Arikad and discover your creative potential.